Well, hello, Frederick family. My name is Pastor Chris Geyer, and I'm here with Pastor Scott Gilbert, and we're back for another installment of Pastor's Talk, question and answer. We'll get to the questions here. First one we have is, one of the big questions on everyone's mind is when we can meet together again for corporate worship. Scott, can you tell us what are the factors that determine when we can be together again?
Yeah, this is a really important question for us right now. Obviously, a lot of us are thinking about this, which is good because we've missed being together so much. And I can just tell you that Sunday is hard every week because I want to be with you. And I've heard from so many of you that you want to be together. And so we've been looking forward to the time that we can come back together for corporate worship. But just to be transparent with you, that we have a few guiding things that are helping us think through this. We want to help make sure we protect the health of the people here at Frederick. I mean, this is a big thing that's guiding decisions that we're making right now. We know also that we have guidelines that come from local leaders, state leaders, and then there are national guidelines. So there's a lot that we're thinking through in regard to those things. But then ultimately, the glory of God is paramount. How can we glorify God best in this time, in this situation that we're in? So some of the factors that are guiding us, that are determining how we respond to this, one of the big ones is the social distancing requirement. You've all heard about that. And so even though the Missouri government is starting to open up businesses to be able to function again, those guidelines still are in place. And so for us as a church, that means that there needs to be 6 feet separation between people. And that's not just left and right, that's front and back. And so when you start putting that together, that's a whole lot of square footage that each person or each family unit is taking up right there. And so that really drastically changes what we can do. We know we can't meet together in the way that we did just a couple of months ago. There still remains a lot of uncertainty about how all these guidelines play out. There are certain restrictions that are available for retail businesses in Missouri, but it's not exactly clear how those apply to churches in regard to this social distancing and how many people can be together in one place. And so we know off the top that some things we just cannot do at this time. Like, for example, the governor has already stated in a conference call that I was on with some other pastors that Sunday school classes, community groups can't meet in the same way that they did just a couple of months ago, just because of small classroom space and a lot of people together in that. And so he's asking for those groups not to be meeting together in those classrooms for some time. So we know that some of those things are factors for us. Consideration of things like how we do ministry to kids and how that functions for Sunday mornings. You know, typically we would have nursery and childcare rooms, and we have children's church. Well, social distancing guidelines still apply, and if you've ever been around kids much, you know that 2- and 3-year-olds don't really abide by those social distancing rules all too well. And so that impacts what we are able to do and what we're not able to do, and what Sunday gatherings would look like for us. And so we want to be able to follow those things well. Now, Pastor Chris is working on some of the issues related to how we make sure our facility is clean according to guidelines that we have. So, Chris, would you share with us just a little bit about factors that we're taking into consideration with that?
Yeah, we do have a custodial staff here that's working hard to procure the necessary supplies to make sure that we do have a clean and sanitary facility here. The priorities will be high-touch surfaces will be cleansed thoroughly when there are people in the building. After the people exit the building, those times in between, there will be thorough cleaning being done. Proper disinfectants will be used for both hard surfaces and soft surfaces, so we want to be careful and cautious that we have a clean facility so as not to transmit the virus here. So we'll do our best to make sure we have a clean and sanitary space here where we can meet, whatever that'll look like, whenever that is. Our custodial staff is working hard on that at this time. Now, Scott, can you tell us what are some other factors that we are taking into consideration at this time?
Yeah, so just even going back to those social distance guidelines that we have, just think about some of the considerations of, well, that impacts how people come into and out of the building. Because if you remember when we were gathering together, people would just come in and be able to mingle and talk and then sit wherever they would typically normally sit, because everybody had almost their assigned seat that they would stay in. But then when service was over, people would be able to leave and just file out. Under social distancing guidelines, that even changes how we're able to come into the building and how everybody's able to leave, because they can't leave exactly at the same time. There are things that we're thinking through about, well, how can we do the Lord's Supper well? Because we know we can't pass the elements. What's that going to look like? We know we can't pass an offering plate. And so taking up offering, what does that look like for us? And so the bottom line is that there are numerous considerations for us. And we know at this time that the city hasn't even released their guidelines yet. And so all these things play into how we move forward. So just to let you know, we will not be just simply opening up the church for Sunday morning worship the way it was. And even just gathering together on Sunday morning won't happen immediately, because we know that we need to take careful consideration, have really good plans in place, and that all those things are ready, workable, follow the health and safety guidelines, follow what's best for our church, and all that takes just a little time to make sure that we plan that out well, and we do that to the best that we can, and to the best for your health and safety. And in fact, in conversation with other pastors of large churches, churches our size and larger, pretty much every church is taking a delayed approach to ensure that they have all these things in line and do it well. And so with that being said, we are going to go slowly, methodically. We're going to keep you updated on our plans, on our procedures, so that you're aware of those things. And so we're going to wait a little time before we pull the trigger on when we're able to meet together again. But I want you to understand also that it's okay. It's okay for us to go slow. We don't believe that we're at this point that we're in by accident, but we truly believe that God is sovereign and that he is working his purposes for his church in general here in the United States and around the world, and for Frederick Boulevard in particular. And so he's got us at this point for his purposes, for his glory. And really that's a comforting thought for us as we move forward. And so we're just going to take it simply day by day. And I just want to read James chapter 4, verses 13 through 15 for you, just as a reminder for us that we do live day by day. James says, "Come now, you who say, today or tomorrow we'll go into such and such a town and spend a year there and trade and make profit." Verse 14, "Yet you do not know what tomorrow will bring. What is your life? For you are a mist that appears for a little time and then vanishes. Instead, you ought to say, if the Lord wills, we will live and do this or that." But none of us know what tomorrow is going to bring. We walk by faith today and trust the Lord for today and then for tomorrow. See, none of us knew that 2 months ago that we'd be sitting in this place today and that we'd be walking through these things. So we're going to go forward day by day, trusting in the Lord. And so I just ask a couple of things from you as we do move forward. Number one, I would ask for you just to pray for the staff and elders as we are making big decisions and working through all of these plans and what this will look like for us as Frederick Boulevard. Thank you already for how many have contacted me and the staff saying that you're praying. And then the second thing I would ask is that you would be patient and remain unified. There are a lot of different opinions about what we need to do at this point. And we recognize that there are some of you who are ready to meet right now if you could. But then there are some others who would be very concerned about meeting anytime soon. And there's a whole host of ranges in between that. And so everybody has varying opinions in this. So what we need to do in this time is to be patient with one another, recognizing that we may all have different concerns and different ideas about what things need to look like going forward. But that we'll be patient, we'll trust the Lord, and that we will stay unified as a body. These are incredibly important considerations for us as we go forward.
Very good. Next question for us is this. Many in our city are in need right now. How can we help and serve in this time?
So one of the big needs that we're hearing about is in relationship to food. You know that a number of people have lost their jobs, so there is a greater need for food kitchens and various food services at this time. And so food banks and food kitchens are advertising their need. And so as we think about the commands that are on us in Scripture, part of what Scripture tells us is to care for those in need. And if we see this all over Scripture, but a couple passages for you. Deuteronomy 15:11, God says, "There will never cease to be poor in the land. Therefore I command you, you shall open wide your hand to your brother, to the needy and to the poor in your land." This is kind of this open-handed generosity that we're to have. And Psalm 82:4 says, "Rescue the weak and the needy." And so this is part of the requirements on us, and just out of love for the people in need, that we serve them and be able to help provide food in the city. Now, there are a couple different ministries that we're encouraging people to be a part of to help support that. One is the Valley Food Kitchen, a ministry that many of you are familiar with, that we've been involved with for years now. Many of your community groups have been helping with that. So what we've heard from them is that they need some specific food items. And what they've said is they need cases of bottled water, Kool-Aid drink pouches, 10-pound rolls of hamburger, pudding cups, individual bags of chips, individual bags of cookies, styrofoam to-go boxes so that they can hand out that food. Clementine oranges are some handy things that they have. And so what we're asking for the next couple of weeks, Thursday through Saturday, you can drop off those food items at Colony House Furniture just across the street from us, 8 in the morning till 12 noon on those days. And if you are able to get food, you can get that stuff at Sam's Club, or if you're not able to get out and shop, you can drop off a donation to them, and they'll make sure to pick up those food items to be able to take and help support people in the community who really desperately need those food items. Now, Chris, there's another ministry that we've been involved with that I know you've particularly been leading. Can you tell us about that one?
I would gladly do so. Yeah, we've been partnering with Second Harvest Community Food Bank. They are a nonprofit food distribution center. Last year alone, they distributed over 7.5 million pounds of food in a 19-county region in Kansas and Missouri. Now, we host their mobile food pantry once a month. In the past, we had them here at our facility in the parking lot. We distribute food to many cars who would come through, no charge, helping those families, individuals, seniors, families with young kids, to get food, to meet some of the most basic needs. So in that way, we've been able to partner with Second Harvest and help serve those in need in our community. Now, the needs are growing greater with Second Harvest. We've hosted them at our facility here for the last 2 months, twice a month now. And they have let us know that they're in need not just of food. They purchase the food themselves, but they need money. They need financial gifts, donations to help them get enough food to serve more people who are in need in our community. So one of the ways that we would like to do that to help out is if you would consider writing a check to the church here, Frederick Boulevard Baptist Church. If you put on the memo line, Second Harvest Food Pantry, however you want to do that, just make sure Second Harvest is on there. We'll be sure to get that money over to them so that they can continue to purchase the necessary supplies to serve those in need at this time. So we've had a relationship with them for some time. They have particular financial needs right now. It's another practical way in which we can help out help those out in our community. So in these ways, these are ways in which we can open up our hands to those in need all around us. So we love our city, that we serve our city, and in doing so, bring glory to God. That's our hope. That's our prayer. That's our goal. So with that, we thank you for joining us for this time together. Look forward to our time next week. Until then, thanks for joining us. Lord bless you.